All right, Mush Puffs, happy Monday. Welcome back to the channel. What is going on? How are you guys doing? I'm here. I'm alive. I'm a little sick, but I am definitely alive, awake, and ready to roll on, let's say it. Let's call a spade a spade. Evolution was awesome. Evolution delivered. We're not going to gild the lily here. We're going to be one of these guys. Hey, so what'd you guys think of Evolution? Did it deliver? No, of course it did. I put it in my title, but we all know the answer to this. I think even the most jaded wrestling fans amongst us could easily say that that was, at worst, a more than average show. But I think that's being disingenuous because it was really, really good. Almost everything delivered. Few missteps, few mistakes, and of course, this is the wrestling community, so we will highlight some of those and where WWE could have went a little bit better. But here's the thing. It was great. It was great. It was so much fun. I got about halfway through the show last night on the live reaction. You can hear my voice now. It's strained. It was really messed up last night. It did not sound good, at least to me. And I wasn't feeling particularly well. So I went and I ended up laying down and watched the rest of the pay-per-view. Loved it. Loved it. I mean, from head to toe, I loved it. And we're going to get into all of it. And maybe, possibly, perhaps we'll take some calls, questions, comments, concerns, hopes, dreams, quips, quotes, and so much more right here live. Best way to get a hold today is just put your questions in the chat. I will get them. If you support the channel anyway, whether it be bits on Twitch, because I do see them, so you can support the Twitch channel if you like. If you do super chat, whatever the case may be, I will get to those questions first, foremost, absolutely. But if you throw your questions in the chat, they will get answered at some time throughout the show. Let's get right into Evolution. Let's start. What's going on, Josh Lyons? I see you in there, buddy. Okay. Let's get right into Evolution. The beginning of the show. You know, the pre-show really didn't offer much. Apparently, spoilers. Don't get mad at me. I'm just telling you what happened. If you don't want to hear it, earmuffs. You got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now it's your fault. Rhea Ripley defended her NXT UK Women's Championship last night before Evolution started against Dakota Kai. Now, why that's important, why it matters at all is really simple. They haven't shown Rhea Ripley winning the NXT UK Women's Championship yet, and she does so, once again, spoilers, don't take those earmuffs off yet, against Toni Storm, who I think gets the opportunity against Rhea Ripley because she won last night the Mae Young Finals. We're going to talk about that as well. So let's get into it. Baszler Sane was match of the night. Bite me. I'm going to disagree on that. It was a great match. I loved it, and I think Baszler is 100% ready. I was wrong on Baszler. I didn't think she was ready. She's ready. She was phenomenal last night, and I wasn't a big fan, a proponent at all of seeing the other horsewomen of the MMA world get involved so early, but apparently they're rocking and rolling down there at NXT, man. These girls are working hard, and they're ready to at least be in some sort of a limelight, and that could change the landscape of the women's division, not only in NXT, but in wrestling. We don't get a lot of dominant women factions. It's hard to really come to them where they're really working. So we're gonna talk about that as well. What's going on, Ace Trainer Liam? Good to see you, buddy. But let's start at the beginning of the show, and let's jump right into one of the more surprising things. Maybe it shouldn't have been. Opening the show with Trish Stratus and Lita seemed to be a little bit of a risk. Mainly because of the fact that what if they weren't able to deliver? It was bad enough that we already lost Alexa Bliss, and we had to suffer through Alicia Fox, who had a really big mistake, as well as the referee in the match. We'll talk about that. But here's the thing. Trish and Lita looked amazing. They really did. They delivered. I was worried by putting them first. If it falls flat, it kind of sets the tone. But the reality is, even though the crowd was not a sellout anywhere close, most reports are saying, now while the tickets did sell out, scalpers bought a fuck ton of tickets in hopes to resell. They were still about, some are saying as low as 65% full, others as high as 80% full, but nowhere near a sellout, even though they said on the pre-show that it was. And technically, it was. They did sell all their tickets, but the resale was really bad. Tickets dropping down to $8 before the beginning of the show. which is a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a worry. I mean, the crowd was amazing, but I don't know if that necessarily talks about the fervor behind, you know, people wanting the women's wrestling events and all that. And mainly because obviously they were going to be hot. Obviously they were going to be excited. They paid for this. They wanted to be there at this show. It's not like a Raw or a SmackDown or even another pay-per-view. This was something very specific. I attribute it to like All In. All In, a very specific wrestling event that targeted a very specific wrestling demographic, and we certainly saw that last night. That crowd was hot throughout the show. They were really ready to go, and we got a really nice treat out of Trish and Lita. They were fantastic. Lita looked amazing. God, they both looked really good. Not only physically, but in the ring, they delivered. They were good. They were crisp. They were sound. Mickie James also did a very good job for the most part. It's hard because we kind of knew it was going to happen. There was a lot of rumors that the women's tag team titles would be given out in this match. You know, it was going to be debuted, but that didn't happen. I think it's probably going to be an announcement for tonight, and I understand WWE wanting to do that. You know, we talk about the tag team match really did tear the house down, and we are so enthralled by all this that we've decided to bring in this new division. I'm assuming something like that's going to happen very, very soon. We don't know. It's going to be pretty damn cool. But they were on fire, man. Now, obviously, the big thing, and this is just my own gripe. This doesn't take anything away from the match. I actually miscalled this last night during the live reaction. Referee work is important to me. Don't ask me why. It just is. I like when a referee does their job. And the reality is referees are always instructed, and this is lottie-dottie everybody, almost every promotion. I've talked to promoters. I've talked to people who have done this for a living. And even my limited experience going through wrestling school for less than 2 weeks, referees are always told to finish your pin. If a spot is missed or something like that, you continue to count. You do not make it glaringly obvious that you're doing something or that the finish isn't what it's supposed to be. You are supposed to sell that finish no matter what. And the referee, we had 2 times last night where the referees did not do a very good job of what they're supposed to be doing. And I'll talk about the other one a little bit later. But for me, when that referee obviously stopped his count when Alicia Fox missed her mark and did not get in there and break up the pin, it pissed me off. Did not take away from the match at all, but it was just one of those things. Just irritated me. And it felt like the referee was like, oh shit, we can't have this happen on the first. And this is why I'm going to defend him. I just buried him a little bit, but I'm going to defend him because if he continues with that count and there's no breakup there, it doesn't really matter because the right team still wins and all that. But it does take away from the finish that we ended up getting, which was really, really great. It was a great little finish. I love seeing the double moonsault. I love that. I thought it was a lot of fun. Trish with the chick kick. It was great. But it might set the wrong tone, so that's why I think he decided not to count the 3. So, yeah, they showed the ref stop during the replay, too. Yeah, I was shocked at that because I actually thought he did his job. And then when they showed the replay where he clearly didn't, I was like, ooh, wow, I can't believe they showed that. I can't believe they showed that. But, you know, that was one thing that a lot of people who were in the live reaction with me last night pointed out. The production wasn't great last night. It seemed like they had the B team on it, and which is a little disappointing because they tried to make such a big deal about this pay-per-view, about this event, but yet they treated it almost like a house show. We didn't get the ramp or anything like that. It was a very basic house show looking ramp and entrance alley. That was a little bit disappointing because they kind of treated it like a B-type show, which I think they shouldn't have done. Look, if you're going to do this event, it's got to be big. It's got to be WrestleMania big. It has to be. Now, granted, it was at the Nassau Coliseum. What are you going to do? You know, you can only do so much in that perspective. But it was annoying because we're supposed to care. It's supposed to matter. So why not go all out? Make this feel. Pyrotechnics, the whole shebang-a-bang. Don't skimp on this one because you're leaving yourself open to criticism. And I felt WWE did that way too many times last night. But again, these are minor critiques, and it certainly does not take away from the show that we got. I see more people joining up on in here, joining GunCannon. Josh Lyons, Ace Trainer Liam. We also have Leaping Lizard, Ailes Griffin in the chat. What's going on, guys? Get your questions in. If you have anything you want to comment, question on, we're going to take them. Obviously, priority goes to other things. If you go, Super Chat will be read immediately first, all that type of stuff. But if you put your questions in the comment section, I will get to them. I promise. It doesn't look like we're going to have a problem of getting to too many throughout the course of the show. But I thank you all for being here, and hopefully you're having a fantastic morning. So that was basically it for the first match. Trish and Lita did a very good job. They looked great. The match worked. No big botches out of them. What does it mean for Alexa Bliss, who did get physical in the match? Now, I was a little bit shocked at that. There were some conspiracy theories going around that the timing of Alexa Bliss pulling out, which I don't understand. I don't understand how there could possibly be any conspiracy. Maybe she wasn't hurt or blah, blah, blah. That doesn't make sense to me. Because why would you... it's stupid. It's a stupid thing. Taking her away makes the match lesser. So why would you do it? You wouldn't. She was hurt. But she did get physical a little bit, which was a little bit surprising to me. But I'm glad she was there. I'm glad she made the initial announcement, welcome to Evolution and all that. I thought that was cool. I love Alexa Bliss. I'll see her in any capacity. I don't give a shit. I love her to death, and I hate Buddy Murphy. We have my Conifly. All right. Oh, Jesus. Fly, I'm just going to call you Fly. How you doing, buddy? GunCannon. Oh, that was straight live show vibe and the video quality. Doesn't take away from the performance, just that aesthetics were not what we normally see for pay-per-view quality. I agree with that. I agree with that. And it is weird. And I found out last night that the WWE is going to be offering a new tier to the network, allegedly. I haven't confirmed this myself yet, but this is what people were saying, that they're going to start recording or streaming live shows to the WWE network that people who pay an extra $5 will get to watch. Now, that could be interesting because it kind of changes the dynamic of live shows. Now, everything can't just be a throwaway because people will be watching. Does that mean it's going to start being canon? I have no idea because typically house shows are not canon. House shows are practice matches. We'll see a lot of the matches there before we see them on a pay-per-view, like street fights, cage matches, whatever the case may be. They'll work those matches in live show environments so they can plan out their spots. It's like rehearsals in some ways. So it's going to be interesting to see how they cover that, and will it or will it not be canon. And when all that is official and we see what's going on, we will absolutely cover that topic in particular. Leaping Lizard, my only complaint was that there was no swerves. Everyone thought was gonna win, ended up winning for the most part. But the betting lines actually got things wrong. The betting lines got 2 matches wrong, and pretty big. So that was interesting to me as well. What's up, PK? How you doing? My name is Mike. That's how I spell. Okay, Mike. I got you, Mike. All right, good stuff. The Battle Royal came on next. The Battle Royal was interesting to me. I enjoyed it. Battle Royals are usually a big mess, especially when women are involved. It's not in their cup of tea. A lot of the over-the-top rope eliminations that we see in men's battle royals are not available because of the height of a lot of women. The clothesline over the top. We saw that with Nia Jax, one of the bigger competitors, if not the biggest competitor that was there. I think the tallest as well. She couldn't be clotheslined over because Ember Moon was so small she can't get that leverage. It doesn't look right. It doesn't look real. So that's again minor gripe. But very good battle royal for what it was with the women that we had involved. No surprises, no shocks, nobody that really rocked the world. I was hoping they were going to bring in somebody that might stir up a little bit. But for me, one of the bigger things, and not to be the sexist douche here, but my God, Maria in that outfit. Oh my God, that's Chicago ass right there. I'm just saying. I can't believe how much that was riding into the nether regions there. Maria looked amazing considering that she's coming off of injury and pregnancy and all of those things. Maria looked absolutely fantastic. I was really happy to see her in there. I've always liked Maria Kanellis. I've always been a big fan of hers. So it was nice to see her in there. Everybody else that was in the event was just... probably the one thing I was not expecting was how bad Alundra Blaze looked. Now, granted... she's over 50. So what am I expecting? It's like, I love Alundra Blaze. I always have. I've always marked out hard for her. I was very excited that they added her, and I kept wondering, why is she not getting some sort of a highlight match? Why not a singles match? Why are they not using Evolution as as a fantasy booking? And the answers to that is very simple. Because it would have been the wrong move in every regard. To have it all about fantasy booking and all these matches that we never thought we'd get to see, it makes it more spectacle than anything else. And the one thing, and we talked about this with the graphics, we talked about this with the live show feel, it was not a spectacle. The highlight really was on the women in the ring, which is nice, which is what we want to see. That's exactly what we want to see. So that was a good thing. Now back to Alundra Blaze. She could not have worked an actual match with anybody. You know, I would have liked to have seen in there with Charlotte Flair, even Ronda Rousey. It wouldn't have worked. She's not moving very well. And when the cam panned over to her early in the match, before the match even started, actually, they quickly like, wah! Because I'm sorry, Alundra, she looked like Freddy fucking Krueger. I mean, she looked really bad in the face region. And I was just like, oh no, that's my woman. That's my waifu. No, it was just a case of fantasy being broken for me, and I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't prepared, and it's unfair when you look at Ivory. It's like, what the fuck is she drinking? What is Ivory drinking to keep herself looking that good? Because that's not plastic surgery look. That is just straight up good aging by a beautiful fucking woman. And Ivory, really, I love that she doesn't take herself too seriously. I was so happy to see her have a dance break with Carmella. I thought it was very funny. Some people thought it was hokey. I did not. I enjoyed it. But the biggest thing about the Battle Royal was the winner. The two favorites, I actually called Asuka a dark horse. I didn't see Asuka as a favorite to win this thing at all because of how badly they have booked her recently. I mean, she has not done shit since WrestleMania. I mean, really, all she's done is lose and tag with Naomi and all these kinds of weird things. It was very, very, very difficult to watch. But it is what it is. She came very close, and she looked very good. Ember Moon was the other main favorite. She did not win either, but she did have a hell of a showing. My MVP for the match is going to be a little bit of a shocker. My MVP for that Battle Royal is Tamina Snuka. I thought she looked great. The best that we've seen of Tamina. I love the Wild Samoans look that she had going on. I thought she did a very good job of keeping everybody in balance. She looked like a ring veteran. You know, my biggest knock on Tamina for a long time has been that she's always green. She didn't look green last night. She looked really good, and I enjoyed seeing her. She did a very good job. It looked larger than life when her and Nia Jax were head-to-head like that. I thought it was very cool. I thought they might pull the trigger and have her win the event, but she didn't. It was quite amazing. And then Nia Jax getting the win, much maligned. A lot of people, including like a lot of other wrestling douchebag commentators like JD from New York. Everybody going absolutely crazy about Nia Jax winning. Like, this is a map. Why is Nia Jax a bad move? Nia Jax is not a bad move at all. She's The Rock's cousin. She's incredibly big. She's dynamic. She has a unique look. She is the woman's evolution, quite literally. That's the embodiment. You know, women like that used to be very, very prominent in the world of wrestling. The Bull Nakanos, the Bertha Fays, maybe not the best example there, but we used to have these type of women much more prominent. And Awesome Kong has had an amazing career being that big woman that could do incredible things. Nia Jax falls in that same vein. The biggest problem with her is her gravity-based offense, but I think that we don't give her enough credit sometimes. I don't like that she's a face most of the time. I'd rather much see her as a heel, and I think that heel turn is coming. You know, a while back I said that Nia Jax was going to be Stephanie McMahon's corporate tool, very much like The Rock was for Vince McMahon. And I still think we're going that direction. It may not have been when I thought it was, but now with Nia Jax getting this victory and getting her a future title shot, more importantly, the heel turn should be right around the bend. And once that happens, I think it's going to be a much bigger, deeper story. And now we have something that can build with Ronda Rousey. Spoiler, she won. She retained. Going forward, I really, really like the decision with Nia. The more I've thought about it, the more I like it. I think it was the right move. Nia Jax, it's time to elevate again so we don't keep getting the same shit over and over. So I'm very happy with Nia Jax. We haven't seen those two get physical since she lost the title, but I'm excited to see where it goes from here. Let's give a big shout to the chat real quick. Ivory has a time machine, I swear, says Prince Burb. Leaping Lizard, well, just be happy Sonny wasn't there. Very, very, very true. My poor Sonny. One of my first faps ever. One of my first faps. It's unfortunate. Terry Snow Queen in the house. Morning, my copious king and my lovelies. Yay. Old School's in the house. What up, Old School Matt? Makad Medusa's 54, Ivory's 56. That's a crime against Mother Nature right there, that Ivory can look that good at 56. 56? She looks that good. That's insanity. Somewhere there is a painting on a wall that's aging for her. That's all I'm saying. If you don't get the reference, well, you're a fucking moron. GunCannon. I do like the little homage to Roman she did. She and Nia did. Yes, I did. Ronda did as well. Ronda gave Roman a big love. I don't know if anybody caught it after she won. I'll talk about that in just a moment as well. Old School. Seriously, they're older than The Undertaker. I know, that's insane, right? Leaping Lizard. I'm sure Asuka is due for a heel turn like they did with Shinsuke Nakamura. More than likely. I don't know if it's going to help. We need a shakeup in the women's division. We need some women to go to NXT UK, because they're treating that as not just NXT. That is going to be a major brand. I'm telling you guys right now, that NXT UK is going to be something special. And if you have missed the first 2 episodes, you're missing something great. Go watch NXT UK. It's going to be special. Prince Burb. I would have preferred Ember to win, but Nia was my Nia. I did Nia again. I haven't done Nia in years. Son of a bitch. Nia was my number 2. Old School. Good morning, Terry. How was the original copious goddess this morning, milady? Don't milady. No, you douche nozzle. You're fucking awkward enough with your albinoism. Don't milady people. Oh, I'm going to slap the bitch out of you. Leaping Lizard, good morning, Queen Terry. Queen Terry's perfectly fine. Prince Burb, did China get a reference or a mention at all? I think she might have been in a graphic at some point. I saw her in there with Eddie Guerrero recently, I think last week on SmackDown. So I didn't see anything. I know someone was wearing a China shirt. I love that Mrs. Edge, Mrs. Copeland, Miss Beth Phoenix was wearing a Bull Nakano shirt. I love that. I might go get that Bull Nakano shirt. Bull Naka. No, I love Bull Nakano. I always have. Big fan. Makad, in my opinion, you can't go wrong with having the biggest person win a battle royal. I agree with that. Prince Burb, Makad, how can anyone eliminate the Big Show, right? Well, they always seem to. They always seem to be able to get the job done. Hey, by the way, before we get to the next match, let's give some love to the graphics people. I reused the thumbnail from last night, made a little bit of a modification to it, but I want to give love to Fake Ass Twat once again for that incredible thumbnails. I think one of the best thumbnails we've ever had. It was really, really great. Something special. I enjoyed it a lot. And GunCannon, once again, reusing the Evolution frame from last night. Fantastic job, Gunny. As always, greatly appreciate it. Tomorrow we'll be back to the Morning Slam regular type of frames, but very, very cool stuff. Old School. Should WWE try a fully UK division separate from the main roster on the network? I think that's what's coming. I think we're going to see that. Now, there will still be people who will be going up to the main roster, but I think NXT UK is going to be something wholly different and wholly special. Prince Burb, I don't remember anything at Evolution, but I was half asleep due to UK time, so I can't remember China reference. Fair enough. Chris Kress is in the house. What's up, buddy? Long time since I've said that name out loud. How you doing? All right. Let's continue on here. The Mae Young Finals was the 3rd match last night, which was probably a good placement for the match. It was easily, up to that point, the best thing that we saw. Toni Storm and Io Shirai absolutely crushed it. The only issue, and people are going to talk about this ad nauseum, is why was it only like 8 minutes or 9 minutes long? That really felt like it should have been a 20-minute match, and let those two go. Within the confines of the time restraints that they had, they did everything you possibly could. A lot of people were speculating that maybe Io Shirai got hurt. I think she was just selling. She seemed to be perfectly fine. Toni Storm looked like the polished, perfect specimen that we've seen for so many years on the independent circuit. I don't feel she's always had the best representation of herself at the Mae Young Classic the last 2 years that she's done there. But seeing what she did last night, especially with someone like Io Shirai, is fantastic. 22 years old. Toni Storm is a certified rock star, and I don't think that Io Shirai is far behind her. I think she's also can't miss. But the WWE is a habit of screwing this shit up. Now, they also built something in for us who believe in nationality and unification. they may have a storyline they may be going towards, and we'll talk about that with a match in just a moment. Let me get a drink of water here. I'm nursing my voice today, kids. Hang tight. Hang tight. But the match itself was very good. Toni Storm hitting all the moves that we want to see out of her. Io Shirai seemed to have a little bit of the restraints pulled off of her. We saw some of the high-flying stuff. She did some of the things that we haven't seen her do at the Mae Young Classic. She took some huge bumps. I was scared for the bump that she took on the outside when she was slammed into the guardrail. I also was scared when they did the power bomb, essentially a power bomb on the apron. That kind of scared me because she's got the history of neck issues, and it seemed like she was favoring the neck. However, she still went up and went for the moonsault. If she was hurt, they wouldn't have done that spot. It's such a dangerous thing to do if someone is woozy or not right. She would not have done it. I'm glad that to me, told me she was okay, and the finish was great. The knees right into Storm's finisher. I thought it was great. I really, really, really loved it. I thought they did a fantastic job. Cannot complain at all. Nikita Keck says Io Shirai performed better than Toni Storm. I think that's true too. But I believe that's true. I think she showed her up in the match a lot. But Toni Storm, as the winner, as someone who was allowing a lot of the match to be dictated by the opponent, didn't need to be the one who was the aggressor for most of it. It was just it was a very well-paced match for the time that they had. Had that given more time, had that been given about 15 to 20 minutes, I think we'd be talking about it as a match of the year candidate. Because it felt to me they were just getting going. They were just starting to kick into that gear that you want to see. But they decided not to put the emphasis on them and allow the night to move on, which I didn't have a major problem with. I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more out of them. But you can't really take too much away from that match because they didn't get to go longer. I think that would be unfair. Prince Burp, Toni Storm, Toni Storm, Toni Storm, na. Very, very well. I'm not singing it. Nope, fuck off. Chris Cresta doing well. Evolution really delivered, in my opinion. Agree with you 100%. Prince Burb, Storm Zero is one of the best looking finishers in WWE currently. Discuss. I don't agree. I mean, it's just a Tiger Bomb. It's a Tiger Bomb. It's a sit-down Tiger Bomb, as a matter of fact. It's fine. It's fine. The underhook thing, there doesn't seem to be a lot of impact. She doesn't really get him up very high. She's bringing him about waist level when she drops him. It's cool, but it's one of those finishers that has a cooler aesthetic than it does really for damage. It doesn't. I feel like Toni needs a different finisher, or at least refine it where she's bringing him up a little bit higher and dropping him down. Now, I don't have a problem with the finisher. I don't know if it's one of the best in wrestling right now. It's very good. Old School Man, I think that this match was so short so the Bellas could have more screen time, and that makes me sick. I don't think that was the rationale of it at all. If anything, it was more for the benefit of that SmackDown Women's Championship match, which we're about to talk about. Oh, my God. Wow. We're going to talk about that really, really soon. Prince Burb, she didn't hit a single moonsault properly all tournament. I know that was a little bit of a problem for me too, but she is so good. Like I said, Io Shirai she's okay. She's okay. And we'll see how that goes with her a little bit more. It's Ahmed Johnson's boob. Yeah, the Pearl River Plunge. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, that was only 8 minutes. Once they did deliver, it's no fault there. I agree. Prince Robert looks so cool. May not be effective, but it looks great. Fair enough. It has a good name. Yeah, it does. Yes. Storm Zero is a cool name. I agree with that. All right, so after that, we go into, essentially the cooldown match. The cooldown, it's unfortunate, but we did have a homage to the past Divas era with a bathroom break match. And that's exactly what we got. Worst match of the night by far is Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Natalya defeating the Riot Squad. That match was a fucking mess. That match was a mess. I wish they would have cut it. I wish they would have cut the match completely. It got more time than Io Shirai and Toni Storm, which I think is a goddamn crime. It should have been cut from the show. It was that bad. Maybe I'm being a little harsh on it, but it was bad. It was not fun. They once again teased more strife a little bit. They had a moment where Bayley was pushed into Sasha Banks, but yet that didn't really seem to do anything. Didn't cause any beef between them. It's just, in fact, because they were able to go ahead and pull out the victory. But I don't know. I guess I'm just tired of the standard, 3-on-3 match where, you know, the finish is essentially everybody hitting their finishers, going home. I don't know. To me, that was the most live show looking match of the night. I don't think it translated well. It really was set as a bathroom break. It was the intermission match. It was smack dab in the middle. And I think that's unfortunate. It's a disservice to them. It's a disservice to the fans. There should not have been a bathroom break match last night. There just should not have been. There shouldn't have been anything that was a throwaway. I would have loved it if it was just 2-on-2. Then we would have had 2 tag teams that won last night, making perfect sense for tonight or SmackDown or wherever the fuck they want to have a match between those winning teams. So look at it this way. Instead of having Natalya, who was just shoehorned into the match to make it 3-on-3, why not Bayley and Sasha getting the victory over 2 members of the Riot Squad? You know? That way they get the victory. They can say, well, Trish and Lita aren't the only tag team that got a victory last night. What about the Boss Hug Connection? You know, something like that. And then you could have them lose to Trish and Lita, have Trish and Lita still be the first ever women's tag team champions. And then we can see the implosion, finally the implosion of Bayley and Sasha Banks. We didn't get that, and I think it's a little bit of a disservice, and it did piss me off. I think it was the one time where I was just like, I actually ended the show after it, but not because of the match, mainly because my voice just gave out at that point. And I wish I wouldn't have, because the next match was phenomenal, and we're about to talk about that. I want to go back to chat real quick. Prince Burp, she's great, but she needs to learn distance from the top rope. I think it's adrenaline most of the time. Because I've watched a lot of Io Shirai as of late, and she hits those moonsaults like it's nothing. Like it's nothing. She does it in her sleep, you know. So I think it's nerves. She is also coming off of injury too. Let's not forget that as well. Maybe I'm making excuses for her, but I'm a mark. I love Io Shirai. Old school. I love what Stephanie said in one of the promos. Hopefully one day there won't be a first time. It'll just be how it is. Yes, but you got to have the first time to be able to get to the norm. So kind of an obvious statement out of Stephanie, but last night was about the statement. It was about the superlatives and all that type of stuff. So not a big deal there. Nikki Keck, I feel bad for Bayley and Sasha. They were the pioneers of the evolution and are reduced to having a bathroom break match. Yeah, very good point. Very, very good point. Sasha and Bayley are what got this whole thing started. They were given a chance in NXT, the main event to show, because of the work they had put in together. It was a first, it was special, and it was awesome. And to see them relegated, like many of the women that have come from NXT, many of the performers from NXT, not just women, come in and be relegated and just cast off, it's sad. It's sad because you're right. They are the real pioneers of this current wave of evolution. I agree. I agree with you. Terry, I don't think Nikki really enjoyed her match. Poor little arm. I want to talk about that in just a few minutes. I don't think people are going to like what I have to say, but I got some things to say on that match. McCod, it was definitely longer than it needed to be. Oh God, yes. My Lord. Leaping Lizard, well, that match gave me a chance to stare at Liv Morgan, so I didn't mind it. Good point. Very, very good point. I love Liv Morgan, who if I have to place an MVP on, it would be her, because to me, she's great to watch. Old school, Bayley is boring and Sasha is glass. Also good points. Prince Burb, can we have those female tag belts already? Should have been announced last night. Evolution lacked anything big like a surprise return or announcement. Fun fact, that LWS match was the second in WWE. Nikki Cross and Asuka had one in NXT. That's correct. That's correct. They did. They did have a last woman standing match. That is true. Yeah. I remember the match they had, but was that last woman standing? Yeah, I think it was. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think you are correct. All right. Let's get into the discussion of what the actual match of the night was. We're going to talk about the first one in a lot of people's minds. Close in my book as well. NXT Women's Championship match. Shayna Baszler against Kairi Sane. Shayna Baszler is probably the MVP of the night. Shayna, I feel, has been underwhelming at times. After she lost the belt, she kind of disappeared a little bit. She didn't do a whole hell of a lot, and now we know why. She has been busting her ass. Last night was by far the best version of Shayna Baszler that we have seen. The whole package is there. No more jokes about her looking like Baron Corbin. No more knocks at her ability to get over and work the crowd the way a heel really should. Everything was wonderful last night. That woman is brutal. She is a brutal artist. She painted a beautiful picture of violence in a safe way for the most part last night. Jesus Christ, was that amazing. Kairi Sane, for her size, she is such a tough shit. I love when she fucking mugs up on Shayna Baszler and gets back in her face and goes hard at her. I loved it. I loved the slaps. I loved everything. Gimmick aside, the Pirate Princess being what it is, I don't give a fuck about that. What I care about is Kairi Sane and what she is capable of. Now, some people were not exceptionally thrilled with the interference and that really led to Kairi losing the match by two members of the MMA Four Horsewomen. I didn't have a problem with it, mainly because it didn't come out of nowhere. They set it up, and one of the better setups that I have seen for one of these in a long time. Because now we have to ask ourselves the question, was it always the plan to have those, like, in their heads? Obviously, we're talking kayfabe right now, all right? Obviously, it was planned, but I mean, we have to ask ourselves, what were the motivations of the two attackers? Is it because they're just trying to support their girl, or was it because contact was initiated on them first by technically Kairi Sane? Kairi throwing Shayna Baszler into the crowd, which was one of the coolest things we've seen in a long time. Typically, when you go over the guardrail, it's just into an empty spot on the floor. To see somebody getting thrown into the actual crowd is rare, unless it's an independent show, unless it was ECW. Then it was very commonplace. But in a WWE setting, for them to go into the crowd, actually hitting the crowd members, is cool. Now, granted, everyone in that first row was an NXT superstar, so not a big deal. But still, the visual was stunning. It happened so fast you couldn't even see that it was the wrestlers at first. I thought it was very cool. And then after that, the two women, Duke and Yasmin, both of them getting involved and just causing chaos. And they didn't do too much. That's what I liked. I liked the subtle kick that caused the finish there on Kairi. I thought that was very cool. I think they did a great job of highlighting Kairi Sane and allowing her to just battle it out. I mean, even with two women interfering, multiple attempts at that rear naked choke, all of those things, Kairi kept coming back, and I thought they really put her over. I mean, as excited as I am about Shayna Baszler going forward, and I am, we know that Kairi is not done with Shayna, and we know more is coming. Now, I said earlier that I think that if people like the whole ethnic connections, they have an easy setup here. Io Shirai is going to need something to do first. She's going to need something to help break herself into NXT. And a really good idea would be, for me, is have one, two, or all three of this new factions woman clique that we obviously are having with Shayna, Duke, and Yasmin. I know I'm getting her name right. I can't remember her last name, so I just call her Yasmin because I think that's her first name. But to have those three beat down Sane, kick the shit out of her, and then Io Shirai making the save and having that. And you can even go with Mako. Mako as well, the Japanese legend who was in the Mae Young Classic. Have her be involved if you want to go Japanese completely. You could do that, and it could be a lot of fun. And I think it's some way that they can kind of start having this woman's faction become dominant. Because that's what I think the Four Horsewomen need to be. I know that it's going to be a gimmick thing at some point, the Four Horsewomen at MMA versus the Four Horsewomen in WWE, even though it looks like we're completely so far away from that being a possibility right now, considering where those four women are in their respective careers on the WWE side. But let me tell you, Duke and Yasmin, man, they look like they're legit and ready to go. Apparently they are busting their asses. And for WWE to give them a highlight spot on the pay-per-view is telling to me, because they have not been down there very long. So that was pretty cool. Again, all love and respect to the queen, Shayna Baszler. The queen of spades, man. That woman is special, and she is going to run roughshod. Again, another top-level, top-talented woman who hopefully is not going to be held down like we've seen so many other women when they go to the main roster. We're starting to get to this point where I don't want anybody going up because they're only going to be ruined. We've seen it so many times. Ember Moon, fucking Shinsuke Nakamura, You know, the list goes on and on. Sasha Banks, Bailey. I mean, the list goes on, and it's annoying. I don't want to see that happen here because Shayna Baszler seems to be that next top monster. You know, matches with her, and I would like to see at some point the alpha female Jazzy Gabbard get back into the WWE because I think that's a match that needs to happen. But, I mean, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler is somebody who can come in there and do some amazing things with her. There's so much possibility, and that's not even getting into the Ronda Rousey effect. Shayna Baszler, for me, is the MVP of last night. And no, it was not match of the night. I'm sorry. It was not. That'll be the next match we're about to talk about. But first, I want to go back to the chat. Let's talk about, see what's going on in there. Shayna surprised me and did better than Ronda, says Nikita Keck. A little unfair. The matches were different. She was in there with a much greater talent than Ronda was. But again, I got something to say about Nikki, and I don't think everyone's going to agree with me, but we're going to talk about it. Chris Cressa Baszler is amazing. She improved so much, and her character work is also very impressive. Perfectly said. Prince Burb, I was watching with friends, and I laughed my ass off when Shayna won because everyone got pissed, and it meant I won our predictions contest. Congratulations. Good shit. Touch tip. Give me a dap. Nikita, thank God you see her talent, Dave. She's improved a lot on cutting promos as well. Look, I mean, I've never said she sucked or anything like that. I just felt she was lacking in certain areas, and it's good to see that she has improved as much as she has. She's doing fantastic. I'm absolutely loving what she's doing. Chris Kreza, and her chemistry with Kairi is amazing. Yes. Let's not downplay what Kairi brings to the table. I still want to see Shayna work with other women in the same capacity that she does Kairi, but still amazing. Old school. Charlotte and Becky was the holy fucking shit match tonight, but I have to say there were obvious botches. Come on, dude. It's last woman standing. Of course there were. Of course there were. Phelan. All right, I just need to say this. From which perspective or side, it doesn't matter. Charlotte's tits look pretty good. I think they look ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like, she didn't need to go. They look so fake to me. I don't mind fake boobs, by the way. They all suck the same to me. You know, I don't give a fuck. Fake boob, real boob. I don't give a shit. But they can't look like plastic, and they kind of do on Charlotte. They don't move. They're just there, and they do not move. They're immune to physics, and I have a problem with that. Prince, even fucking Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball has physic boobies. I mean, Jesus Christ. Prince Burb, Kairi actually hurt her elbow, so don't expect to see her next week's takeover. She'll be fine in 2 weeks. So yeah, I think you're right. You're right there. The referees were blind during this match. I swear they were bad all night. The referee work was pretty bad overall, I think. Old school, Kairi and Baszler, while not the most holy shit match, but as closer to a more traditional match, I think it was better. Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm going to tell you why I think you're wrong, why I think Becky and Charlotte was the clear match of the night. I'll get into that in just a moment. Makad, agreed. Kairi looked strong even in defeat. She really did. Prince Burb, Yasmin Sabre. I don't know why that name is in my head because like 80% sure it's wrong. Yeah, I can't remember the name either. I know Jessica Duke or Duke, whatever, but I don't remember the other one. The name just escapes me. Prince Burb. So how about a Queen of Hearts versus Queen of Spades versus Queen of Flair? There you go. Super Bears in the chat. I hate Shayna so much, but it means she's doing her job. Great heel. There you go. Nikita, so what's next for Shayna after Kairi? That's a very good question. Honestly, I'm not sure. They can go to Nikki Cross again if they want. They got a lot of options. If they want to do a crossover with some of the NXT UK women, they can. I think Dakota Kai makes a lot of sense because we've already had her and Shayna in the past a little bit. I want to see them let Dakota Kai become like not afraid of her. I think that's a possibility, but we'll see where it goes in NXT. They got a lot of options. GunCannon, I don't think her promos needed that much work. She's more of a come in, wreck things, action shot, words, leave. I think that's true, but I mean, in the little that she was saying in promos before, for me, they weren't connecting at all, and they were very robotic. That seems to be fixed, because now she's just being natural, and sometimes that just takes time. That's how wrestling works. Prince Burb, oh, I noticed Sasha's cheeks looked a little different. Did she have surgery, or was it just a major makeup job? I have no idea. Kolofsky, I didn't watch it, but apparently Steph's tits look nice as always. Yes, they did. Old school. So Kairi goes on to form a female Orient Express. I think it's definitely possible. Tony versus Shayna might be good. Might be a good feud. The only issue I see with that, Nikita, is they announced her after the show. If you watched on Twitter, They announced her specifically as an NXT UK superstar. So I think they're going to keep her on NXT UK and then every once in a while fly her in like they're doing with Tyler Bate and some of the others, Trent Seven. But yes, these motherfuckers right here, British strong style. Yeah, I think that we're going to see that happen as well more often, but they're not going to be specific to the brand. Here's what I need from you guys to do aside from keeping your amazing comments going in the chat. Hit that like button. Show me some love. Get some likes up. I want to see some likes. I'm here. I went early trying to make sure I get the show done for you guys with as sick as I am at the moment and as much pain as I am at the moment. Give me some likes. Reward me for my fucking testicular fortitude, will ya? Will ya? All right. Becky Lynch, Charlotte, SmackDown Women's Championship match. Keep in mind, I've been done with this feud for a while. Like, I have checked out of this rivalry. I don't think their matches have been all that spectacular together as of late. I hate the disjointed cheering of the crowd for Becky and Becky not really acknowledging it and still just doing the ultra heel things, even though I think she's doing fantastic. She's doing fantastic. She's doing all the right things. I think they need to pull her back just a little bit so she can connect where the crowd is, because the crowd is not allowing her to connect at a full heel level because she doesn't feel that way with the reactions. So let her pull back just a little bit and be that tweenerish type of heel. And I think with her beating Charlotte last night, they can do that now because Becky's vindicated, and she's vindicated in a big way. Last man, last woman standing, extreme rules types matches are hit or miss. They don't always work because it's so easy to get lost in the ultra violence that you lose a lot of the nuances that make wrestling so great. This match did not have that issue. Yes, there were problems. Yes, there were a couple spots that just did not work well. Yes, there were a couple botches. There were some major issues. Becky waiting for Charlotte to attack her on 2 separate occasions. And the ref blatantly kicking over the chair to Becky while she was in the figure 4 on the ladder. Oh, that is one of the biggest no-nos. It's like refereeing 101. You know, sometimes you kick over a chair, you kick something over to make it a little bit closer, but you never make it that obvious. And granted, there is some onus on the camera workers, but the referee has an earpiece in for a reason. They're being told the camera angles and the shots. The referee is basically the offensive lineman. They're getting more information and have to know more than anybody else who is being in a match. They know everything and have to react accordingly. If you know you're in the shot, you can't not once but twice attempt to kick a chair over. I'm sorry. That for me is egregious. That makes me fucking insane. It was way too obvious. Maybe I'm making too big of a deal about it, but Jesus Christ, did that make me nuts. But still, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay, because it doesn't take away from the match. The match itself was, even with its imperfections, was as close to perfect as you get for a last person standing match. To see those two go after each other the way that they did, tearing at each other, breaking out moves we haven't seen, even when something doesn't work, when a table doesn't break, for Charlotte to go back and do another attempt and not do the same move, which we'll see a lot of people do. We've seen Jeff Hardy do swantons multiple times when a chair doesn't break. But, when she does that, the flipping senton through the table, that lit everybody up. The spot where Becky was going to take the title and leave again, and Charlotte chasing her down. Charlotte getting beat the shit out of it and saying, "Is that all you got, Becky?" It was emotional. It was real. It felt amazing. It was just wrestling at its most pure for me. And I'm not an ultra-violence type guy. They went to the level of almost full-on ultra-violence. It was fantastic because they didn't go across the line. A lot of people were like, we needed blood in this match. In the 90s and early 2000s, we absolutely saw Charlotte do her best Ric Flair impression and be that Crimson Mask that Ric Flair pulled out so many times and looked so amazing doing it. 2 greatest bleeders in history of wrestling. It's Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels. When those two got painted in the Crimson Mask, It was spectacular, and maybe that would have been cool to see, but you can't do it with the women because there's already a lot of people who do not like to see women fighting, let alone going to ultra-violence forms. So, I don't know. It was pretty great, you know, to see them go to a point but not go too far, bringing it back, connecting emotionally, connecting in the way that you want to see. And the most important thing for me is Becky winning meant something. A lot of people had Charlotte winning that match. I did not. I thought the only thing they could do logically is have Becky continue to go forward. Where she goes from here, I can't tell you. There's a lot of options. The best thing for me, though, is vindication for Becky. Now it allows her to break out of this heel persona a little bit and bring it back. She vanquished the reason for her change in attitude. I'm not saying turn her back face. I think she needs to continue to be a heel, but you have to bring it down a little bit to match where the crowd is. And Stone Cold Steve Austin is a perfect examination of that. Have her be dicks to everybody else, but appreciate the crowd. You can do both. It can be done, and Becky is certainly talented enough to pull it off, at least in my opinion. Before we get to the main event, let's go look at the chat again, because I like seeing what you guys have to say. Prince Burb, I want to see Nikki Cross versus Shayna, but Nikki needs to ditch the stupid gimmick she has. Again, I think it's not about ditching. I think it's about pulling it back. You got to pull it back a little bit. And I think if they do that, it'll be perfectly fine. Old School Matt, does bad voice mean a break from Twitch today? I don't know. I want to go to Twitch because I want to keep playing Red Dead Redemption. I want to play marbles. I want to do stuff with you guys, but I really don't know. You can hear I'm a lot deeper than I typically am. I actually like my voice like this because I sound really sexy and old and mature. Like I could read a book. Like this would be a voice that you would hear War and Peace read to. That would be quite amazing. I think we could all go for a little bit of that right now, shall we? So I don't know. Maybe I'll do Twitch. Maybe I won't. I'm going to take a little bit of a rest after this, and then I'll see how I feel in a little while. Cool thing is, on this new schedule that I have where I'm knocking out my main show early in the day, I got all day to go to Twitch, man. I got all day to go to Twitch, so I'm not too worried about that. Prince Burb, I feel as if Charlotte is the female Roman Reigns in a way. She's pushed way too hard and fans don't like her enough for it to work. I think you're half right. Charlotte, I think because she's a face, is a problem. She is pushed, but I don't think she's pushed nearly as hard as Roman. And where the comparison ends is Charlotte is one of the best workers in the world. Charlotte is so goddamn athletic and good. It's unfair to put her in that same category with Roman Reigns, to me, because I think Charlotte's amazing. I really do. I love watching her work. Her size, her ability, her athleticism, it's wonderful to me. And she works like her father. You know, she is that ring general. She is in control of what's happening almost 95% of the time, and I love seeing that. She does a great job. So I disagree with the comparison, but I think that you're right in some ways. The way she's pushed doesn't always connect. And the bigger issue is you pushed her against Becky Lynch, who the fans love so much because we got so tired of seeing her held back that we couldn't connect with Charlotte as a face. Charlotte needs to go back to her heel roots, and I do think she will eventually. Old School, that referee is in an unemployment 9 right now. I don't think so. I believe it was Mike Chioda. I don't see that happening. Prince Burb, Dave, the ref for the LWS match was Mike Chioda, so that explains a lot of the ref. There you go. There you go. Anthony Castillo, no, Dave, I'm with you. The ref kicking the chair was cringe. It absolutely was. Prince Burb, the only other thing this match would have had was a flaming table, and I'm pretty sure they banned from doing that. Yeah, I don't think they want to put women through flaming tables. I'm pretty sure. Makad, I was a real big Charlotte fan, but have soured on her lately because of all the hokey smiling and over makeup jobs and crying. The crying's an issue. Like, her and Sasha should be banned from crying ever again. I'm so tired of seeing that shit. I agree. That being said, the match was very good. Enjoy it. I think it was match of the night. I think it's going to actually be a match of the year candidate. I think it's going to be one of those matches that we talk about for a while. It was really fantastic. God, Prince Burb, Becky versus Naomi is next. From what I've said, that's a match I really want. Really? I don't want that match even a little. I don't want to see Naomi. No, I don't want to see that even a little bit. I don't know. I still think Naomi's fairly awful for the most part. Chris Grass, table seems to hate Charlotte, and Hell in a Cell, they also refuse to break. Fair enough. Prince Burb, oh no, she could totally back it up in the ring. I'm just thinking from a booking point of view, she's booked like Roman in the female division. That's fair. Prince Burb, Nia is another one who shouldn't cry. I agree. Stop with the crying. Why the fuck are you crying? All right. Let's talk about the main event, which seems to be maligned in some ways. I'm in the camp that it was amazing. I loved it. And most importantly, Nikki Bella stepped up, man. Nikki looked great. That was the best single performance of Nikki Bella's career. I believe it. I think she did a fantastic job. She dominated a lot of this match with Ronda. They used the Bella Twin tactics, and I think they did a good job with that. Brie on the outside is a hell of a lot better than Brie on the inside. For this match, you kind of have to let go of all the reasons why we hate the Bellas and just judge it based off what they did last night. And based off what they did last night was pretty fucking good. You know, especially working with somebody who is not experienced. Ronda is very impressive. A lot of her moves will look sloppy because she does use so much judo, which is a quick, vicious, sudden series of movements to get your opponent on the ground or in the position that you want him to. They're not very good at translating to TV. A lot of people thought that top rope spot towards the end of the match was a botch. It wasn't. It was a classic judo takedown from the top rope. It was meant to look the way it was. It just doesn't look that good because of what it is. Those quick, rapid motions when you're tangled up with somebody don't translate well to television. But make no mistakes, that was perfectly done. It was textbook. It was well done. And the whole match was for me. I thought they did a very good job of just going back and forth with each other. Nikki didn't look like the diva bitch that, you know, we all were expecting. She didn't look botch fest. She came fucking prepared last night, man. You could tell she put some work in for this. Her and Ronda practiced. I thought they did a fantastic job. I was very happy. See, Josh Lyons right there. I'm sorry, but I have no idea how Ronda hasn't injured anyone with her little hip tosses because she's doing them perfectly. You have to understand something about Ronda Rousey, man. And this is what I have read a lot from even people like Alicia Fox, who has been shit whipped by Ronda so many times. Ronda is so good at manipulating the body with her judo that she doesn't hurt you. She can flip anybody. She is that good. She is one of the highest level judo practitioners we have on the planet. She is that good. And judo is all about leverage, body manipulation, and angles. If you know how to work them properly, you can basically put a woman down with as much or as little force as you want. You know how to not only manipulate your own body, but angle your opponent in a way where they land exactly how you want them to land. They have no control anymore. So it really is about what you're doing to them. And Ronda hasn't hurt anybody because she is so good at what she does. I don't count Alexa Bliss being hurt at the hands of Ronda as anything because Alexa Bliss always gets hurt. You know, the wind blows. She's a glass cannon. I'm sorry. I loved it, man. I loved it. I saw GunCannon doesn't think that it looked ugly off the top rope at all. I saw a lot of people who were kind of shitting on it. I don't know, man. I absolutely loved it. I thought the match was great for what it was. It was not the best match of the night. In fact, I'd probably put it as the 4th best match of the night. I would put it behind. I put it behind the last 3 that we talked about. I put it behind Charlotte and Becky. I put it behind Shayna and Kairi Sane. And I put it behind Io Shirai and Toni Storm. But other than that, I thought it was great. And on a lot of other shows, it would be rated a hell of a lot higher. But those 3 other matches were so, good. I enjoyed it a lot. I also love the classiness that Ronda showed when she went and was like, Roman, you kick leukemia's ass and come back. I love that. I thought it was great. I was just a big fan of the entire night. I thought they did a fantastic job. Gonna give Nikki a lot of respect for her showing, going in there and standing toe-to-toe with Ronda Rousey. And Ronda looks more impressive now. You know, getting through, ending the Divas era officially. We can really go to some special places now. I am so high on Ronda. I really am. All right, let's go ahead and check out what you guys are saying in the chat. I'm sorry, but I have no idea. Oh, we already talked about that. Old school. Okay, I get it. It just mentally pictures somebody else with a head on Nikki's body. Prince Burb, I don't understand the Ronda hate. She wrestles better than most of the roster when they were at this point in their career, and she can hold herself in a promo. The argument I heard is that she didn't earn a title shot but she beat Bliss in a match. Then Bliss asked for the title match. Then she beat her at Mania. Yeah, you know, I don't buy into that earning of shit anyway. Look, sometimes people in wrestling, especially in wrestling, you're going to get the benefit of your stature. And the reality is Ronda Rousey came in with the hype that she did because of everything she's done and worked her ass off in Olympic competition, tournament competition, and then the UFC and Strikeforce. She earned every bit of the accolades that she got. Kurt Angle, same fucking deal. Now, granted, she got a title opportunity a lot sooner than Kurt did, but not that much sooner. And especially when you think about the fact that the women's division is a lot smaller and a lot less fleshed out than that murderer's row of a division that Kurt Angle walked into when he came into the WWE with all the fucking AAA top level talent that they had at the time. That entire fucking era is going into the Hall of Fame. You know, Jesus Christ, there are 4, 5, 6, 7 people that you could put in conversation for greatest of all time. Greatest of all time. And that's what Kurt Angle fucking walked into. Think about this. Kurt Angle walked into an era where these were the top guys. Stone Cold, Rock, Triple H, Shawn Michaels when he would eventually return, Big Show, Undertaker, Kane. My God, that's not even getting into the emergence of Edge, which would be a couple of years later, but still, my fucking God. Ronda doesn't have that. You know, so for her to go right to the top like this, I think it's a weak argument. I hate when people do that. It drives me absolutely crazy. So, I don't know. Jeremiah was a C-right. I don't think that's correct. What's up, everyone? Sup to you, Jeremiah. Good to see you here. Touch the tip, give me a dap. Join the Copious Kingdom. Also, Ronda has a smile that melts hearts. She didn't smile last night coming out. She did this. And I loved it. I loved it. Stopped smiling coming out. Let's get on the connection level. Loved it. Ronda smiles way too much. I agree with that, Josh. Chris Cress, Ronda made her debut 6 months ago. She is already on a very high level. I agree. Old school. With the Bellas beaten, can the Bellas go back to reality TV so I don't have to see them? They went out like veterans putting on a... you know, according to Nikki Bella is saying that she's going to come back stronger and better than ever. And that she's going to be a completely different woman when she returns. You know, she buried the Divas division completely, said it was put to rest, and now she's going to evolve. You know, so will she? I don't know. I hope she will. I'm sure it'll make a very interesting season of Total Bellas, but Total Divas look like it's on the way out. The all-time low ratings that it's getting every single week. Ms. and Mrs., I don't know why it got a second season. The ratings weren't very good on that. And Total Bellas isn't even pulling all that well. Now, granted, towards the end of the season, it started to pick up again, and maybe it will carry over into the next season, but I'm not so sure. So, I don't know. We'll see. Princeburg, God, Kurt was like 20th in line at one point. Yeah, he really was. Anthony Castillo, but Joe Cronin and JD told me to hate Ronda Rousey and they could do better. I don't. The hatred just to get views is sickening to me. I'm getting tired of it. Won't do it. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. Prince Burb, you forgot Mick Foley. That's true. I did. I guess I could have a nice day. You think I didn't? You think it hurts? It hurts. I'm a good kisser. Bang bang. Sorry. My voice is fucked up. I apologize for that. Leaping Lizard, I'm just really hyped for the Nia and Ronda title match. I think it could be something special. I don't know when they're going to do it, but I think it could be a lot of fun. Prince, I want her to smile when she wins just so I could see it. Yeah, she's got a pretty smile. People hate reality TV, so it's so fake. And for the cameras, and it annoys me. I agree with that. All right. I think we've hit everything pretty well. What's the overall finished rating you guys want to give this pay-per-view? What do you think Evolution was out of 10? I got to be honest, man. I don't know if you can rate it in the same vein as other pay-per-views and other specials and all that, but you can rate it as a wrestling show overall. Like, it was definitely had more live show element, house show elements than, you know, pay-per-view elements. But for what it was, I think I'm going to give it a nice solid 8. 2 bits from Elmo's Twat. I got up, and this was shows at 9. And, of course, you started the stream at 8. Always Lita is queen. Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to start early, man. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it. I think I'm going to give it a good solid 8, man. Anywhere between a 7.5 to 8.5. I think it's a very solid. There's nothing really to compare it to. There's not a lot of all-women shows. There are some, and the ones that I have seen, you know, the knockouts nights and stuff, I don't think they hold a candle to what we saw last night. I think for the wrestling alone, it was a solid, fantastic show, man. It really was. It was fun. I think a lot of people are going to be inspired by this. I think they accomplished their goals. What they wanted to do was set a good example for women's wrestling and people who are coming up in the industry, and I think they did that. Will there be an evolution every year? I don't know. I don't know if there needs to be. I think that we can get away from this now where it has to be one way or the other and allow them just to integrate in properly. And I think that they can do that based off of last night. So let's see what you guys say. Leaping Lizard, I give it 8 used tissues out of 10. You're disgusting. Prince Bert, it was a decent for a pay-per-view, but it lacks something big. No surprise return, no big announcement. I think the pay-per-view was a little flat. I say 6 out of 10. I don't agree. I don't agree with that. I don't think you need a surprise or a big return to make something special. I don't. I think that if when you're judging it based off of the matches that were actually there and not what wasn't there, you know, I think that the argument doesn't hold up. If you're judging it because some things didn't happen, well, you're really not giving your due service to the show that you actually watched because you're too busy thinking about what could have been. Well, what could have been is irrelevant. It certainly shouldn't factor into the rating of what was, because that's the question. So for me, I put that aside. Would I like to have seen somebody else show up or something like that? Sure, I would have loved it. But it doesn't take away from what we saw. So that's why I'm going to stick with my 7.5 to 8. I think it's a pretty good rating. Go watch Stardom Dave. It's all women. I think it's promotion. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've seen a couple of them. There's a few different. They're okay. They're not that great. They're really not. Fake 8 out of 10. Lita is queen. Kill Switch 76. Good morning, Dave. 8 out of 10 for the whole event. Was great on my lunch break. Just wanted to stop by. Thanks, Kill Switch. I appreciate it. Hey, by the way, after your lunch and you go back to work, would that make you Kill Switch engaged? Rather. Ultimate Evolution gets 7 out of 10. Pretty damn good show. Next up, Crown Jewel venue. Oh, yeah. Vishnu, help us get through this. Oh, boy. Yeah, let me have a day to fucking... we'll talk about that soon enough. The pay-per-view had mostly very high-level in-ring standard. I go with 8 out of 10. Fair enough. Big. I got up early for this show, so of course you decided to stream even earlier. I'm sorry, I had to. Sometimes this show used to be 9 o'clock. I was just going back to it. Baber 6.5 out of 10. Ronda versus Nikki was too long, and I don't like the finish to the BR. Tony Storm and Io Shirai was the shortest match. Makes me mad. And again, you're talking about things that could have been rather than what was, but still, that's fine. Treaty. I'm always excited by whoever comes out. Fair enough. Prince Bear, if I find the match that there was a great Iron Man match between two females on indie. There's lots of them. You go to Japan, there are some all-women promotions there, and women are treated as equals with the men a lot of the time at a lot of the shows at the Tokyo Dome and such, and they're fantastic, brutal matches, but very rarely do you see entire shows built as well as Evolution was, in my opinion. Dalton Clark, do you think they're going to do an NXT TakeOver angle in WWE soon? Probably. I mean, I'm sure they're going to do something of that nature, and it'll probably be led by Triple H at some point. Next time they want to have Triple H and Stephanie go after each other, they can do that. It's very, very simple to do. It'll happen at some point. GunCannon, 8 out of 10 sounds about fair. Makad, yes, I'll chose 7.5 out of 10. Don Clark, all talents are good for the most part. The problem is creative. I think that's true in wrestling in general. You know, whether it be stuff with All In and other indie promotions where they're just booking themselves instead of... I understand people were going to be like, no, man, it was great. All In was not great. I'm sorry. I've rewatched it again since I watched it the first time, and I was 100% right. That show was not very good. I'm sorry. The wrestling was awful, man. The wrestling that there were so... I'm not going to... One day I might do a full show reviewing All In again, but... that was not a good show. I'm sorry. I apologize. You like fucking 27 inflatable dicks coming out, that's on you. I don't give a fuck. But I cannot ignore how bad the wrestling that was that night. It was really, really sloppy, in my opinion. Well, Michael's saying it 40 times. That's very true. Fake. Lita looked prepared to steal all the girls' husbands last night. She was serving boobs and fishnets. She looked good. She did indeed. Prince Bear. It was the second LW's match. It was because as we forgot in NXT, Nikki Cross and Asuka. Yeah, they did indeed. All right, kids, I'm done. I think that's it. think we've hit everything. We did more than an hour. I'm going to go rest the old pipes and hopefully be able to take the Twitch. Come over and join me on Twitch a little bit later on. Trying to get to 1,400 followers. We're almost there. It's Dead on Dave on Twitch. Very, very, very easy to find. Dead on Dave. Find me everywhere. Come hit me up on Twitter. Let me know what I'm doing right. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Tell me some of the things you would want to see on this channel. Not only wrestling, but other topics you want me to cover. Use the comment sections. Interact with me. Let me know what I'm getting right. And more importantly, I want to know how I can improve and serve you better, because Dead on Dave is all about servicing you. And trust me, you want me to service you. You need me to service you. You are yearning to be serviced properly by Dead on Dave. We'll see you next time. Keep it copious, folks. And remember, as always, if you don't have talent, have talented friends. Now, GunCannon, hit me with that outro, baby.